you, Dave.
It's angry like me.
It's got that sort of, it's got that touch. Right.
Plus, they can't see me. My wife beat her.
Playing from Francois home.
Oh God, we literally are live. I didn't think it was going that quickly. All right, cool. Let me start recording, I guess. Put that on thingy and record on this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the Boys from Bossk. I'm here with my super co-host, Big Dave. How are you, Big Dave? Or Big
Fabulous.
Bear, I call you now.
I don't know if it's a bear, a gopher, a beaver.
Big brown.
Just call me Big Beaver. Big brown beaver, BBB.
Beaver whacker.
Just like it is on the screen, BBB. Big brown beaver.
I know we shouldn't do this, and it'll probably be the last time we do this, but the avatars are so cool on this, I just can't resist it. So here's another special edition of the Beavers from Bossk. Sorry, I know I'm a fox, but hey. Anyway,
doesn't show no teeth.
I don't have any teeth, but I've got a nice mouth though. Right, so welcome to the latest edition of the show. I know we don't do them very often, but I like to think you enjoy them when we do them. And I hope you could enjoy this gloriously sexy episode as we go over, like the old men we are, some of the entertainment events that have happened. And
we do them once a week. How do we don't do them often?
Well, some people do them twice a day, you know, on this YouTube.
Well, they don't have jobs.
I know. Which is why, you know, I know our listeners miss us.
When they pay rent, they'll find out.
So I'm CJ Fox, and let's get on with the show. So it's been an interesting week. Like I've always said that the old streaming services thing was going to be difficult for certain companies and certain entertainment companies to understand. And people have misunderstood it to a large degree, I think. One, like you can have a streaming service, but as Disneyland, you've got to have shit to put on it. And it took Disney a while to figure that out, that nobody wanted. And I think, although like certain amounts of people were watching the old stuff, you know, like the really old Disney cartoons and the Disney shows, most people just, I don't even cared. Do you know what I mean? If you've seen a Disney animated, unless you're, there's only so many times you're going to watch it. And I think Disney learned very quickly that, you know, there's a reason why Netflix, even though it's lost millions of viewers, is still number one in the streaming services because it has a hell of a lot of products. It's got, you know, animation, it's got family, it's got drama, it's got shows about sports, it's got shows about ever so much stuff. And they've got a wide variety. Now, some of it's good quality, some of it's bad quality. But if let's say you've got a family, right, Dave? And
it's 15% good.
Like you look after your nieces and nephew, right? You can chuck them in front of this. You can chuck them in front of. You can find something on Netflix for them to watch.
Yeah, but they watch Disney more.
Yeah, but you can. Yeah, but then they watch Disney more, and then you might watch something else. But there's always something, right? But this is a mistake. I think that HBO has had the problem. HBO has had in the States. HBO's got a lot of good drama content, right? But it's mostly old stuff, and people have watched it already. And if you're a fan of HBO stuff, you've probably watched one of their shows, like I guess The Wire, more than once, or certain episodes of it more than once. You've watched Game of Thrones, I think once. That's more than anybody can handle. But it's like that doth not make a streaming service work. And I think it's all come to a head recently.
Isn't The Wire on Paramount?
Is it? I thought it was HBO. Or which one was HBO?
It might be. It might be. Sopranos was HBO.
Yeah, so it's like HBO's been famous for all that stuff. But, you know, if you're asking somebody to pay $5.99 a month, and most of the stuff is your back catalogue, why would anybody want to do that? That's like tantamount to renting a DVD for 3 months. You know, it's like
Yeah,
you
but
might
it's
as well
like I got given that stars for 99p for a month.
Yeah.
And by the end of that month, I watched everything I wanted to watch.
Exactly. And that's the problem. There isn't enough range on a lot of these channels. And no offense, superheroes are big business, right? But that's Marvel superheroes in terms of films. You know, DC make a bit of money. Yeah, they make a fair bit of cash, don't get me wrong, even when one of their films flop, or at least when the critics didn't like it. But how many times are you going to watch Man of Steel? Do you know what I mean?
How many times are you going to watch The Arrow?
Yeah, how many times are you going to watch those shows? And this
You're
has
not.
been the problem with the streaming services. I think it gives you access to everything that makes you think you don't need to watch it. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to. How many times did you buy a DVD and leave it in the wrapper? Or how many times have you bought a DVD, gone, I'm going to watch that loads, watched it once, never watched it again?
So some I've watched a few times, but others, still in the wrappers, I think, upstairs.
Yeah, so I think this has come to head for HBO Max, which didn't launch in the UK, but you would have watched a few of their products if you'd be familiar with them. So you know,
If you got Sky, you'd be familiar with them.
Yeah, if you got Sky, you'd be familiar with a lot of it, or even Netflix, because Netflix had Titans, which was actually on another service of theirs that they launched, which was just based on DC Comics, which is the number 2 comic book company in the States. And they're struggling. And I think it's been weird because Zack Snyder, I don't know if you heard it, but apparently like there was that big campaign to get the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League released. And it was mostly bots, like robots. Somebody had programmed lots of computers to demand DC do it. And DC threw like, I don't know, millions at him to let him reshoot some scenes and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it's probably Disney.
And I don't look. I think
just so they waste money.
No, I honestly think Disney wants a successful DC. You know, and Marvel's always wanted a successful DC comics because the more people reading comics, the more successful you are. And every time DC makes a film, Marvel makes a better one. I can't think of any DC films that are actually better than any of the stuff that's come from Marvel. Can you? Like, if you were. I know I'm being petty for a moment, but can you? Are there any
Aquaman was probably the best out of the lot, and Wonder Woman.
Okay, but better than a DC, like the worst Marvel film. How does that compare to any of that?
What would you say would be the worst Marvel film?
Well, some people say Eternals. I enjoyed it, but some people say
I didn't mind the Eternals. I wouldn't say it was the worst.
But the first Captain America.
I actually enjoyed the first Captain America.
Oh, okay.
It's the second one I didn't really like.
Really? The Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
That was boom ting.
It's a bit OTT, wasn't it?
That was boom ting. What are you on about?
Nah, one as good as the third one was better.
For me, Winter Soldier is literally the best Captain America, like the best Marvel film. Like outside of the Endgame, that's really exciting that you have that view. I love that. See, this is the moments I love. Like, so, you know, when I start to think I'm the center of the universe.
You always thought you're the center of the universe.
Yeah, and that's why I've got you to remind me I'm not. Oh God! Popped out of the backside of the universe during a thought, and but yeah. So the news has dropped that HBO is basically cutting things left, right, and center. And one of the things they've cut is the new Supergirl film. That has now not they finished filming it, and I think they was just doing like
Batgirl.
Sorry, was it? What did I say?
Supergirl.
All right. No, they've also cut Supergirl.
That's the series stopped though, didn't it?
No, they were going to do a film, and it was right. So basically, you know, the new Flash film.
Yeah.
Supergirl's meant to make her appearance in that, and she was meant to get her own film afterwards. Okay. And that's been cancelled. Batgirl has also been cancelled, but you were right. That is what I did mean. I don't know why I said Supergirl to start with.
But they actually filmed Batgirl.
Yeah, they'd finished.
They wrapped it up.
Yeah, wrapped it up. It was ready to go. And apparently, now it depends who you ask. They're saying they did some test screenings and it didn't go down well with the audience. And I'm just like, I don't care if it went down well with the audience or not. A lot of people, how many people would have worked on a film like that? Like hundreds, if not thousands. put their effort into it. It's the first, I think, time you've seen one of the Bat family as a non-white character. I can't think of any time when Batgirl, it's the first time you would have, because it was a Latino, mixed Latino actress playing Batgirl. And even, what's his name, appears as Batman in it. And I don't know which audiences was they put it in front of, but basically, apparently that wasn't good. But also, because of the merger, they just need to get her back money off of everything going on, because Warner Brothers and Discovery have merged. That it's gone. It's now never going to be seen.
I bet it will be.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody leaked it, but I'm just.
That's what I mean. Someone's going to. It's going to be out. It's going to be a secret film that everyone's going to go, "Oh wow, it's one of the best." Or is this what they want? They want people to talk about it.
I don't
so
know.
They release it.
I think that they're possibly suffering from the same thing that Marvel was when Ron Perlmutter was in charge. He doesn't like. They don't have much faith in any characters other than Batman. And when it comes to women and minorities, it's like, forget about it. Which is why, if you look at the original, in the comic book, the Avengers, I think had 2 female. No, they only had 1, but it was the Wasp who was the founding member of the Avengers. In the films, it was Black Widow, because they could make her a bit hotter, a bit, ooh la la. And it just, the first 2 Avengers films are very by the book. Like the first 2 Avengers films.
The Invisible Woman was an Avenger, wasn't she?
No.
In the comics?
What's interesting about the whole thing is that the first female film was Black Widow. No, it was Captain Marvel, sorry. So Captain Marvel, after all those movies, ends up being the first female character. And then Black Widow sort of gets one as lip service. And it's weird. I just think DC.
That was probably the worst Marvel film.
Which one?
Black Widow.
Yeah, and not because of the cast. I don't know who wrote that. Somebody wrote that.
It was the actual script.
Somebody wrote that script on the back of a Kellogg's packet. Because my God,
it was a terrible script.
It was a terrible, terrible film.
Especially when it's filmed during COVID as well. You think like all that time is in their hands. It's bad.
It was so bad. It literally hurt my feelings. But yeah, you've got that situation, but you've also got they've cancelled a project Kevin Smith was working on. He's got his I think his 3rd Clerks movie coming out soon, and they cancelled a project he was working on, and I think it was quite a big project. And Kevin Smith refuses to work on big movie projects. Like, he just prefers to be like a comic book fan.
Well, he likes to be the guy in charge as well, doesn't he?
No,
he doesn't want the big wigs saying, "Oh, you got to change this, you got to change that."
Even though I think he'd make a really good Marvel, he's told some of the best comic book stories I've ever read, and I think he'd make a really good director on a big movie, a lot better than just.
As long as he's got free reign, I think he would. But I don't think they're offering him free reign, and that's why he won't do them.
No, it's all because of. Do you remember his Bruce Willis experience?
Mm.
Yeah, ever since then. It was just he had such a bad experience working with Bruce Willis. He was just like, that's it, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. And yeah, so that's all gone down. It's a big shame. What do you they're saying they've got another 10-year plan in place. This is their 3rd one. For 4th, DC, they've got their next 10-year plan in place. But they've already, DC Comics website is now just called DC. They've cancelled a whole load of shows. They're cancelling a lot more. I think the CW universe is coming to an end next year.
Well, CW's come to an end, doesn't it?
Well, the final Flash series is going to be season 9. So I'm like, I don't know. What do you see in the future?
No, that's been and gone.
Is it? Well, there's
season
one more
9's
season.
Finished.
Well, then there's one more season to come, and that's the final season. There won't be any more Flashes. And I just think
I got bored with that anyway.
But what do you think of because you've got Sky? What do you think of the HBO stuff that you got to see? So you got to see what did you get? You got obviously Game of Thrones, but that existed long before then. What I don't know. What is on Sky for
I watched that.
Warner?
There was a program on not long ago, actually, with John. What's his name? John Bethel. One that plays Punisher. That was made by the guys that done The Wire.
Let me just show.
He was a dirty cop. I can't remember what it was called.
I can never remember what's on there. Let's see. No, their website is being incredibly
Rubbish.
No, can't get in. No. Dune, that was on The Matrix.
Well, that's just Warner Brothers in general, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. From now on, they're going to prioritize cinema. So no longer will they it's no longer going to be TV. So the streaming service will play second fiddle from now on, and it won't be a priority. So
in other words, they've spent all this money for HBO Max, and it's just gone kaput.
HBO Max may disappear as well. I mean, that's the other side of this. I wouldn't blame anybody because, like I said, Sony are doing really well, and they don't have a streaming service. I would say, just doing what HBO done before, which was just licensing the stuff out.
Yeah, but they've just done rubbish, haven't they? They released that Time Traveler's Wife. That was rubbish. Recently,
that got cancelled after one season.
Yellow Jackets, I actually think it's on Paramount, but that came out on Sky Atlantic.
Okay.
Oh, We Own This City was that HBO one.
That was good. Big fan of that.
Yeah, that was good. Peacemaker was good.
Yep, that's another one. I like. There's a show called City on the Hill, which is on. I don't know if that's HBO, but it's on Sky as well. That's quite a good show.
It's called what?
City on a Hill. It's got Kevin
City
Bacon.
on a Hill.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it.
It's very low key. It's on Paramount as well. I don't know how that works out, but yeah, I just think.
Well, because probably a Paramount program.
Maybe, but you never know. Like I said, the Disney's starting to get shows that aren't Disney shows on there, or weren't contracted to Disney. Like I know they're in the middle of
Hulu shows, though, aren't they? So
yeah, some that might be why. But they're in the middle of getting a deal to get Doctor Who, so that could happen quite soon.
Well, if Hulu own the rights for the BBC in America, then they'll be able to get it, won't they?
No, they're literally making a new deal. So particularly about Doctor Who, so they'll get exclusive international rights to Doctor Who, and obviously that's good news for BBC in terms of that would be a lot of money. But two, you could see a new Doctor Who films, funded by
House of Mouse.
Yeah, House of Mouse. How good would that be? Oh, just thinking about it.
It'd be rubbish. Because Doctor Who's always been about cheese, so it's always been low budget cheese.
Don't tell that to the fans. Say look, the last time they tried a Hollywood version of Doctor Who, it was poor. What's his name? He only got to play the Doctor, I think, twice. Paul McGann. Do you remember that?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, poor guy, and it was like, I'm going to be the cool Doctor. I'm going to ride a bike. I think it was a Harley he was actually riding in the episode, and like he falls in love. And we learn he's half human, half whatever they are. And it was a terrible film. It was a very disappointing film, and that didn't work out. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's going to be it's sad what's happening at Warner Brothers, but it's also quite interesting to see what's going to happen in the next couple of months because, like I said, I don't see where this goes. So it was David Zaslav who announced all this, and basically they announced loads of cuts. They've announced the merger of the streaming services because it's Discovery Plus, which is merged with Warner, and it's gonna be interesting to see. Where
but Discovery Plus is all like reality TV.
I know, but they're two sides of a different coin. And what's more interesting about the whole thing as well is Warner Brothers is a massive. I think people underestimate how massive Warner is. It's a huge company, Warner Media, and they've got like, even if you take into account the films alone, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but even if you go into Warner
Harry
Brothers,
Potter,
they own all the cartoons when we were kids. They own all the Animaniacs and Bugs Bunny and
we are the Animaniacs.
I mean all the Metro Gold. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're all MGM.
But it's going to
The
be
Looney
really
Tunes.
interesting to see what happens from here on in. Because remember, Paramount's still out there, and I think Paramount made like a massive loss in its first year of about 100. I couldn't figure out how much the loss was because it was. I think it was 180 million. And
Yeah, but probably you got to remember that was probably the budget for Halo. So.
No. They're right. So they made a loss of 1.8 billion in its first year. So it earned. It's got 64 million global streaming subscribers.
Yeah, but then Tom Cruise has earned that money back with one film. So.
Well, yeah, because we'll come to that later. But yeah, that's quite a good point there. If Tom Cruise keeps pumping out hits, Paramount will be all right. But will the streaming service? And remember, there's not even that much on the Paramount outside of Star Trek, right?
They're not
And
releasing
Halo.
much very quickly. I was quite shocked at that.
There isn't a huge amount of content on there, so it's going to be interesting to see if something like Top Gun is a big pull. For the streaming service, and if it
will be
streamers,
and then you get the Fast and Furious franchise on there.
No, I don't think it's Fast and Furious Paramount.
Yeah,
Let me double check that because I thought I know I've said it many times in the show, but I've got a feeling it's not Paramount.
No, I think it is. I generally think it is.
It's Universal.
Is it?
Yeah. So yeah, it's Universal, and I know, like at the moment, Fast and Furious isn't on any streaming services. I don't think, apart from, is it on now?
It's on Sky, yeah.
It's on Sky, right? So yeah, it's Universal. So that's not. I know Paramount have the Monster franchise, so they've got Frankenstein, all that type of stuff. Anchorman's one of those. Addams Family. I don't know.
They're in the Sonic franchise. Transformers.
No, they don't own it. I think they released it. Were they the ones that released it?
They've just released Scream 5 on there, haven't they?
Okay.
To watch.
Then, yep, Scream, G.I. Joe, Crocodile Dundee, Mission Impossible, Naked Gun, Nutty Professor, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Jackass franchise. Yeah, quite a bit. And quite a lot of films.
Indiana Jones, they still own that. Obviously,
see, that's a bit weird though, isn't it? Because if they're in Indiana Jones,
it's Lucasfilm, isn't it? Yeah,
it's Lucas that owns Disney. It's a bit weird that one. That's got to be a
they own
a Spider-Man thing, isn't it?
They actually still have the rights to the Incredible Hulk, I believe. Like they own the name Hulk, and I know that they own the Iron Man, the first Iron Man film, but they worked that deal out with Disney. But yeah, there's a lot they own, but is it enough for a streaming service? And even with Star Trek, which I know is a big pull internationally, but at the same time, it's a big pull for its fan base. Like new people don't come into Star Trek. You don't go, it doesn't seem to pull new people in. So it's going to be interesting if that can make enough of the service, because I don't see him hitting like 150 million subscribers. I just don't see it. But yeah, what do you think, Dave? I mean, you've got Sky, you get a lot of this stuff added on. So you've got Netflix, you got Disney.
I have every streaming service really that's out there. I've got Apple. I've got the lot.
Okay. So
apart from like the mediocre one, like Stars Plays and stuff like that, I don't. But all the big hitters, I've got them all.
So I'm very intrigued to see where this all goes. As I've said before, not angry at Disney, not angry at Marvel or anything like that, but I think they've all got to up their game and start pulling their finger out. Because if this carries on the way it is, it's gonna. I don't know. I don't see this ending well.
Well, it's going to be like the Premier League, isn't it? You can have the big three, and that'll be it. Everyone else will be mediocre.
Maybe we shall see. We shall see. All right, let's jump on. We've given that story more than enough time. Let's see. So yeah, Top Gun, like you mentioned earlier, Top Gun, blimey, it is now. I think it's overtaken Titanic in terms of US ticket sales, but it is also joined the 1 billion boys club. The 1 billion film club. And that is an amazing feat, considering, tell me if I'm wrong, Dave, but it's one of the very few sequels from an 80s film that has had a great media response, but also a massive fan response. That isn't one of the bigger franchises. So Star Wars, not Marvel, sorry, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, The Matrix. I know The Matrix was 90s, but there was still a big gap between the franchise, the latest film, and the original.
Well, you can't remember. It's literally just two films, isn't it?
Mm. And then you've got so Predator, that's always struggled. That came in the 80s. Ghostbusters, that last time that was a huge success was in the 80s. Even the latest film did all right, but it didn't set the box office a lot.
Yeah, but you look at Ghostbusters. The first one was all right. The second one was a shit show.
I keep telling people, they say like, "Oh no, the Ghostbusters with the women destroyed it." I'm like, bruv, did you not see Ghostbusters 2? How can you the women didn't spoil it? Yeah, you have this. It's like that you become fandom Taliban again, and you got these rose tinted glasses on. I don't know. Personally, didn't go to cinema. And
you got this picture that tells them everything, and they're in the sewers of slime. Come on.
And people literally, I remember walking out of the cinema quite depressed after that. And I was a kid. I was like, oh boy. Oh well, okay.
Did I just see that?
That's my childhood ruined. Huh?
It was terrible, that film.
Yeah, and people like, oh, you're so cruel, you're so mean. But I'm like, no, Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters won in 2016. For me, it wasn't that bad. I quite enjoyed it. It was a rubbish film, but it wasn't like it done any more damage than Ghostbusters 2 had.
No, that one was a bit. That was like Jenny McCarthy just being her annoying self, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't mind her being annoying. I quite like her being annoying.
She's very hit and miss for me. She's like Marmite.
Fair enough.
Sometimes I like her, sometimes I hate her.
Fair enough.
I think it's her squeaky voice.
No, I think it's because, at the end of the day, you dump somebody in a film like that, you need a really good script writer. And Ghostbusters, in a way, was quite edgy. It was quite a rebellious film. And I don't think this film was rebellious enough. It wasn't, and it reacted. The biggest problem with it is that they reacted to the haters. They reacted to the people during the filming of this film. They reacted to people who were going to hate it no matter what. And you never do that. You always have to pretend that these people do not exist because they do not deserve your time. And but yeah, it didn't work out for that one. So right, we'll be talking about the Sandman in a minute, but apparently the reboot of the Constantine, which, did you watch the original with the blonde geezer who was Constantine? Did you ever watch that?
The TV show?
Yeah.
No, last Constantine I watched was Keanu Reeves.
Okay, well, there was a TV show with a guy. It wasn't set in a CW, but he does appear at some point when they did the Crisis on Infinite Earths. And but they're doing another reboot, which is going to be set in, I think it's going to be set in the UK, and they're going to have proper Constantine appearing in it. That's still okay. And recently they just announced the Joker. That's going to be all right. The sequel to the film, The Joker with Joaquin.
Yeah,
Phoenix.
you can watch that yourself.
Joaquin Phoenix. You're not a fan of the first one.
Mate, that was a total shit show.
I haven't sat down and actually watched it properly. I've only watched bits of it, and
it was so boring. It was so boring. I just wanted to go to sleep. I tell you.
Really?
It's another typical DC movie, isn't it? You know.
Oh, that's interesting. No, well, I don't know. I like I said, I was very much not like I only watched bits of it, and I think I only watched bits of it because
it didn't start getting good until he started going a bit fucking loopy.
The reason why I only watched bits of it, Dave, was because it reminded me too much of that obsession people have for Hannibal Lecter. Like a lot of people just seem to love Lecter, and I'm like, but he's a cannibal. Like, oh yeah, but he's so charming. Yeah, but he'd more likely eat your brains and swallow your testicles. Yeah, but he's so romantic, and I was like, yeah, but he's a cannibal. He's a man. And it just left me with that feeling. So I will sit down and watch it at some point. But it is getting a sequel, and they're introducing Harley Quinn.
Oh God!
And Harley Quinn will be played by Lady Gaga. No, not interested still.
No, I'm really not interested in this one. Oh my God!
Oh God! Oh, I love it, baby.
Something should just be left on the back burner. You know, you make a film and you don't release it, and then you tell people, "Oh, we're going to make this film with these two people," and you're going to, So you got a crazy pop star and an actor that's just going to be boring as the Joker.
You're not a fan.
No, I'm not watching this one. Sorry, I've had enough of all this Batman rubbish.
Not a fan of the old Batman.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. That's fair enough. I'm never going to hold that against.
It's just too much of the same stuff all the time. It's like I'm repeating myself every show we do. No, just get a grip of the world and just bloody get some of my own ideas.
You really are over Batman. I love it. Okay, all right. Well, let's move on from that one.
How many different Jokers do you need in like the space of 10 years?
Well, I don't know. Maybe there's something different about Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, there is something different about him.
Joaquin.
He's not Joker material.
Phoenix.
It's just going to turn into Robin Williams, isn't he?
All right. God, that's a bit harsh. All right, cool. Now I haven't completed it, but we're going to do our weekly bounty. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. From the screen to the couch. From
what do you mean you haven't completed
to
it?
your ears. Ladies and gentlemen, our weekly bounty. Oh, wow. Yeah.
You're really chirpy today, aren't you?
It's because you make me what I am, Dave. Right, okay, so I haven't finished the season yet, but obviously it has begun. I'm up to episode 5. Have you partaken at all of the Sandman, Dave?
I've watched the first 2 episodes.
Okay. Now, The Sandman is based on a 90s comic book by Neil Gaiman, who I can only consider to be an absolute genius. He's written a lot of stuff that I've liked in terms of comic books, and he's written a lot of recent shows that, have been reasonable successes. So you've got, what was it? The Good Omens. He co-wrote that.
Yawn. Next.
Americano Gods.
Next.
You used to like American Gods.
Yeah, the first season. Second season was terrible.
Well, all right, we'll keep the first season in mind, because I don't even think he liked the second season.
And he done that rubbish program last year on Netflix.
What was that?
With the gods.
What was that?
Oh, it was that terrible superhero program.
No, that wasn't him. No, I don't think that was him.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Jupiter's Legacy, whatever it was.
No, that was what's his name? Mark Miller. The guy who wrote Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass! So along comes the Sandman, or the Sandman cometh. Now, I've got the book and I've been reading it. Really, really good book. Again, very few comic books transfer to screen very, very well. And I have to say, this is one that I'm up to episode 5. They are long, these episodes. They're up to about an hour long.
Second one was only 30 minutes.
What's that?
The second one was only 30 minutes.
All right, I thought it was longer. But I'm in love with this in so many ways. It's beautifully written. It's beautifully spoken. It's just, everything about it is glorious. And I have to say, for the first time in a long time, I've watched a Netflix show. And I can tell where the money went.
It went on the Dragons.
One of the biggest issues I've had with Netflix is how much money they spend on a show. And it's you can't tell where that money went. You can only assume it went into the cast's back pockets. But this show, Sandman, it's just beautiful. It's not a family show by any means. It's a very adult show. And even though it's another franchise, Warner Brothers, this is a franchise that I think is owned by Warner Brothers. It's actually a Warner Brothers production as well. But for some reason, it's on Netflix. And I think Netflix have produced it. I know that much. It's an amazing show. It's really
because Warner Brothers don't actually know what they own.
But it's just glorious. And so far, I've really enjoyed it. It's not something I watch when I'm tired because I will fall asleep. But I've thought up to episode 5 so far, it's really, really good. There are some bits I think that it possibly didn't need. But the casting's been brilliant in this so far. And it's just good. It's just, I've got nothing bad to say about it so far, except they can be a bit repetitive in things in terms of stuff they keep saying. Oh, you haven't got your helm. Yes, I've noticed. Oh, you haven't got your sand. Yeah. Okay, smart bollocks. But apart from that, absolutely brilliant casting, brilliant performances so far, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I hope it's able to keep up to the standard because, like I said, it looks sumptuous. It looks beautiful. And it looks well worth the effort of watching. What about you, Dave? Is it Mr. Sandman keeping you awake, or is he sending you off into a deep dark space?
Do you know what? The first episode I struggled with. I found it very slow. But the second episode I watched it today, and I thought it was actually pretty good. I was actually more intrigued with it. So let's just hope it carries on, keeping me intrigued. Since I like with the dragons and stuff, it's quite funny.
I think
it's Cain and Abel. They're hilarious because they're both comedians in real life. Yeah. So
I'm hoping that it keeps up the pace, and I hope it keeps up the approach it's taken, because it is slightly different from the comic books in little ways, but it's quite different. And I know a lot of people were giving Neil Gaiman grief about this online, but Neil Gaiman was like, I don't care, it's my story. I wrote it, I'll do whatever I want. Kiss my ass. It is very goth. Like, if you're goth, you're going to love this. If you love dressing up in black and pretending you're vulnerable to sunlight, this is the show for you, for definite. And yeah, it is really, really good. But I agree with Dave. I hope it keeps going. So far, I've enjoyed it. And I think it's, at the moment, it's not the funniest show. It's not the most exciting show. But what it is probably the most.
It's a story, and it actually leads on a story. So it's pretty. That's what I like about it. So at the moment, that's why I found the first episode hard, because the first one you have to learn everything about it. So if you're not alert, you're gonna have to stop and then start again.
Okay.
You can't just like look at your phone and go, "Oh, I missed that. What happened?" You have to rewind it.
Because there's so much stuff going on in it. It'd be like
Exactly. So you have to sit there and watch it.
And there's little things that happen in it that are like, ooh. I think if you don't miss out on this, I think it is probably one of the best products Netflix has ever put out there. And it's like I said, it's hard to explain when I say something. It's not hilariously funny. It's not scary, but it's just each character is well presented, well formed, and you're intrigued about everything that's happening so far.
It's an all-rounder at the moment.
Yeah, and at the moment the emotional stakes are being raised. There's little moments that I remember from the book, and I'm like, oh my god, he's put this in there, and I didn't expect him to. So I've got a lot of love for this show, and yeah, I'm not going to rate it yet because obviously I'm only halfway through. But I'll definitely.
When we watched it, we'll rate it.
Yeah, I'll give you a rating once we've watched the whole thing. But at the moment, I would say Sandman, definite watch. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Dum, bum, bum, bum. Definitely a watch. Now, I'll do Paper Girls first, because Paper Girls...
Because I haven't watched it, so you can babble on about that.
I'm not going to give you a rating on it, because I haven't watched the entire thing, but I'm only up to season 4. I'm just going to say...
Episode 4, you mean?
Episode 4. It's kind of like a cross between Stranger Things and I don't know, Stranger Things and The Wonder Years. It's got that sort of touch to it, sort of danger to it as well. But it's got an entirely the main cast. These are all female, as they're all obviously Paper Girls, but it involves time travel. And I don't know, some sort of aliens, and it's got things in it that are just plain weird. It's not as well written as Stranger Things, and I got this really bad feeling it's not going to make it past season 1, just because it's going to get lost in the streaming wars, because it's been promoted a lot on Amazon, but I don't think outside of Amazon anybody's seen it promoted. Like before I mentioned it, Dave, did you know about it at all?
I knew about it a couple of weeks ago because it came up.
Yeah.
But I thought, do I watch it or do I not watch it? And then everything else came out, so I started watching that.
But I'm going to say now, if you can catch it, again, I'm not going to give it a review, but like Sandman, I think it's worth a watch, and I really want to know what you lot think of it. So if you can, listeners, watch it and let us know. That would be absolutely fantastic. Give Paper Girls a shot and let us know what you think. Next up, let's do, I guess, Halo. Just finished its finale. You didn't like it, did you, Dave? I thought
it really dragged on, didn't it?
Do you know what?
Do you know what? When it got to the end, when it got to the end, and it got to like the fight scenes and stuff, it went all computerized.
Yeah,
and that was pretty cool. And it's like, why was that not in the show?
I think because they're telling you a bit before you get to the Halo. But normally, Dave, I would disagree with you and jump to a show's defense. But I ain't gonna lie, this show drags.
It proper dragged on. I reckon everything they've done, they could have done in 6 episodes.
And all the old Halo Taliban that were hating on this show, you really didn't need to, because the show just dragged, and not because the characters weren't good, not because the production values aren't good.
There was just too much waffle.
They really tried to go deep on this, but they didn't go deep on it. Like, there's no deep principles in this film, and the most intriguing parts they brushed over, like just how evil the doctor, whatever her name was, the doctor who creates
Siri.
Master Chief, just how evil the doctor is. Like, she's proper evil. It's not like mildly like she's a bit bad. She's a bit naughty.
No, she didn't care. You was the chosen one. I stole you from your parents.
It's Natasha L. McElnor, Kathleen Halsey. She's proper evil in this, and it sort of brushed over all of that, and it tried to give a deeper mythology to the Halo stuff. But I think it just ended up dragging a lot of time because they didn't really talk about, like, everything's a mystery in this, and they didn't really open up a lot of the mystery, especially until the last episode. And I think that worked against the series. It had a perfectly good cast in it. The fight scenes throughout were really good, but they're few and far between. Master Chief, Pablo Schreiber, he deserves another shot. Do you know what I mean? I think he did quite all right in this, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with his character in the next season. But there are a lot of people in it who I think they didn't really make any sense of them being in the series.
Yeah, but so many characters for a short series. You've got to bring them in slowly, you know? They just throw everything at once.
Yeah, if you're doing 8 episodes, was it 8 episodes? It's not even 10 yet.
9.
Episodes. 9 episodes. I just think they could have done a lot better with it. But again, it wasn't terrible. I'd watch a season 2 if for any reason just to see.
You'd struggle to watch a season 2, you mean?
No, I think because again they're going to go to Halo, and I think that's where things get really exciting, and hopefully will. In fact, the best person in this show was Kate Kennedy, who played the other Cal 125, who was like Master.
But did she not remind you of the woman from Game of Thrones?
I think the whole idea. I think that was the whole idea with her, and I think it works. I didn't, I liked it. I liked, and her I enjoyed because her story seemed more interesting. Like she really struggled once she took out her emotion. Yeah, and I think that worked a lot for me. Everybody else was just kind of, they didn't give them enough. Like everybody's kind of miserable in this entire thing, right? And like with something like Walking Dead, they don't give anybody any reason for doing what they're really doing, except everybody's horrible to each other. It's all about position. And I think that comes from the way like everybody seems to be writing their shows like it's Game of Thrones, and they really don't need to. So for a first season, I'm going to give it a 6. I didn't hate it, but
that's quite high.
It needs to be a lot.
I don't think it deserves a 6.
Well, I enjoyed the bits I enjoyed, and I'm not going to lie and say I didn't.
I don't think it's 6 worthy.
Well, you could give it your own score.
I am going to give it a 5.
That's fair enough. I appreciate that. I think
it's going to be called sitting on the fence for number 2.
That's fair enough. The bits I enjoyed, and I love the fact that Bokeem Woodbine, his character made no sense to me at all. But I love the fact that he looks like an older version of Dave Chappelle. I love that. I love the fact that he sounds like an older version of Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, the trouble is with his character, he was a rebel, wasn't he? That's the whole point of his one. He was a rebel, got away from.
It didn't make any. His character just didn't like. I'm not saying he dialed his performance in, but it just they portrayed him to be like Han Solo. Yeah, and they
the rogue, the smuggler, the bad guy. That's a good guy.
They could have done a better job of that. And also, when I was watching the girl,
but there was no point. There was no point for her story to be there at this time.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that, and I have to say they did her a great disservice. I think it was what was her name? What was her name? I think it's not Olivia Gray. No, Charlie Murphy. That's actually her name's actually Charlie Murphy. She must have picked that one carefully.
Charlie Murphy.
Her name's Charlie Murphy. Yeah, I think she picked that one on purpose. But anyway, so yeah, I didn't get all that. But good luck. I hope it works all right. I think she will be back for season 2. Because I think she's gone to the Halo, but that's just my guess. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Halo, I'm giving it a 6. Now, next up, we're going to do our review. Should we do it last? You haven't watched Lightyear yet, have you?
No, I was saving it for this weekend.
All right, I'll save my review on Lightyear.
We'll save that one because we've got Star Wars and Prey to do.
I didn't watch Star Wars, but you can.
Oh no, then we just do Prey then.
All right, okay. Enough. How much time have we gone for? All right, we're going to do Prey. We're going to talk Prey. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our review of Prey. This is the boys from
a prequel. It's a prequel of Predator.
Yeah, it's a prequel. Yeah, it's a prequel, even though it feels like a sequel. It is a prequel. it's probably the most beautiful Predator film. I'll say that much. I enjoyed it. I didn't have any problems with it. It deserved to be on the streaming service. I think visually it's cinematic enough to have been in cinema, but storytelling wise, I think it's streaming service is where this show belongs. And it works. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's the best Predator sequel of them all.
It's not. I actually think Predators was underrated. I think that was probably one of the best.
No, that was an enjoyable film. I quite like that. This one I enjoyed. I think this one's got more in common with Predators than it does Predator.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because you see like certain things, like when she fell in the bog and stuff, and you couldn't see her. That was like the ending of Predator when Arnold Schwarzenegger covered himself in mud, wasn't it? So there was bits of the old films in there and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of references. Some of them more obvious than others.
Even though this was like 1700 and the other one was 1986 or whatever.
I think this is a different film from the original Predator. The original Predator is very much a lad film. Do you know what I mean? It's like, hey, bro, let's go kill something in the jungle.
Well, yeah, it was like a load of soldiers in Nam, wasn't it? You know.
And as somebody said to me today on a podcast I was watching, if the original Predator, if they'd left out the opening scene with the spaceship, it would have been like Dusk Till Dawn. Because you've got no hint that there's an alien, like there's something out there, but you don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's right.
And this one is very much like that to a degree. You know, you don't see the ship, you know something's going on. And this one is kind of like that.
Well, this is what's always got me about Predator, right? It has that cloaking device.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for the cloaking device, that thing would get beaten up to shit.
Well, yeah. No,
you know? It only gets away with what it does because it's invisible.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like that bear, the bear, and like, I don't want to spoil it, but basically, right. This film's good because animals, like there's animals in this film that go toe to toe with a predator, and it's brilliant. One
and
of
the
them
tiger,
in the trailer. One of them seeing the trailer, which is a bear, and it doesn't mess around. I think it's really good that this film happens this way because it shows that the predators aren't invulnerable, and that makes the whole thing. Yes, they're still a threat, but they're not an invulnerable threat. They're not an unstoppable threat, and that's what I think makes it. The weakness in this film isn't the predator; it's the people around it.
Well, the predator's a hunter, isn't it? Basically,
yeah.
And it's there to catch the game that's as good as him to be the best.
It shows that like the threat, the weakness isn't the predator; it's the prey. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a number of times people could have probably taken a predator out and they didn't. The main character, Mila Lightfoot, I think it is. She sort of. I think the character's got a few missteps in it, in the sense that it's she's a bit too unlikable, and lacks any real, like she seems to lack a lot of emotion. Like she's sort of, I don't know if saying she's on the spectrum, but like certain people get whacked in this film when she's sort of like. She's not that angry about it. Amber Midthunder, that's it. But yeah, outside of that, I really enjoyed it. Amber Midthunder, who plays Naru, she's brilliant. She's physical, and she sort of like most of the film she plays the worst person you want to go hunting with. Like I wouldn't want to go hunting with her because she seems to stop at the moment when she needs to strike. And it's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, it's going to kill you. If you don't do something, it's going to kill you. And she does that quite a few times through the movie. But she more than makes up for it in the second half of the film. And I think her athleticism and the way she carries out the action is brilliant. And I think she'd do really good. Like in other
Do you know what?
films,
They missed a
Marvel
lot on this as well. Subtitles.
I think...
Yeah, because like when the French people were talking, if you didn't understand what they were saying, you'd be lost.
Oh, well, it was French. Who cares?
Well, there goes our French viewers.
Well, no, I agree to a degree, but at the same time, I think it would have gotten too confusing at that point. And also, you didn't really need. You knew they were just angry geezers. Do you know
No,
what I
but
mean?
you
For the
need
most part.
you still need some sort of dialogue because I would say there's a good few minutes of them talking. And you're like, what the hell's going on?
Well, I can understand. Well, weird, monsieur. I've got a plug in my heart. Oh, that is one big ugly motherfucker. Sorry, Dave. But yeah, that didn't bother me. But I can understand that why that would be a bit annoying. But at the same time, I have to say, right, again, that whole scene is brilliant in terms of the action. And considering it's in the 17, wherever it is,
1763 or something.
they do
like that.
pretty well. They do pretty well with the action. Do you know what I mean? And they didn't go down the route of just having massive explosions, which a lot of films do. I'm like, where did they get that much explosive back then? And you don't really have that concern with this film.
Well, you only had that one big explosion, didn't you? Really.
And then on top of that, the cast. I have to say, I can't. There's a version of this film where it's done in the native language, the Cherokee language, which I might be tempted to actually watch at some point, because not understanding what they're saying might actually be making an even more interesting process of watching. But also, I think the cast, Amber Mid-Thunder, Dakota Beavers, who plays her brother Tarbay.
Her brother was really good. He was one of my favorite characters.
I swear, Marvel DC are going to be picking this up very soon. I can see. I'll say it now. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dakota Beavers gets picked up for the X-Men, and Amber as well. I wouldn't be surprised they end up being in some sort of Marvel product very soon, because their physicality. You know, he's really good just because he's tall. He's a tall lad, but I also think he puts in a really good performance.
No, he's really good.
And then there's, I'm not saying the rest of the cast don't much to talk about.
And then there's the jealous one as well. He was quite good.
That was, let me see.
The one that was always jealous of their brother.
I think it is. No, I can't. I'm gonna be lying if I even.
Yeah, you're just gonna put out some random name, aren't you?
No, because there's the other girl, Stormy Kip. I think it's Stormy Kip.
No, it wasn't a girl. It was a bloke.
No, but I don't think that's. Is that a girl? No, I think it's him. Yeah, that's a guy, Stormy Kip, who plays that the character. Which character is he playing?
He had the red headgear.
Wasabi. He's really, really good. As the film progresses, so it starts off very small. It starts off really cinematic, and before you know, it's getting really claustrophobic. But it shows how actually fair is going to get you killed a lot quicker by the predator than anything else. But also, what was fascinating is there was little moments of humor, like when when some guys are trying to shoot the predator, and they've got like guns from the 1700s where you shoot once and have to reload, and the predator's like, really?
4 hours later, yeah.
It's like, really, motherfucker? you want to try and do what? So yeah, I think cinematically it's beautiful. The cinematography on this is amazing, especially in the first half of the film. It's absolutely amazing. And the rest of the film,
even the animals are quite realistic as well, really.
Yeah, the animals, they do good. They fight proudly. But like I said, I would say at the end of the day, it's another Predator sequel, prequel. It's better than the last Predator film, even though I enjoyed the last Predator film, but it's because it was quite funny. This one
this one brings it back to like the original one, really.
Yeah.
Where they're in the forest and they're being hunted.
And it opens up the franchise in a way that I think means that you could do films at different times. Because
I didn't realise this was going to be a film. I thought it was going to be a TV series.
So did I at one point, but no, it's a straight up film. I think it opens the franchise up so you could do the TV series based in different time periods.
No, I literally thought this was going to be like a 6-episode thing. I didn't realise it was going to be a whole film. I was quite shocked.
It would be quite interesting to do a medieval Predator one. I know somebody did a fan film of Predator during the time of the round table, but it would be really cool to do a Predator set in medieval times or Egyptian times or just different time periods. That'd be really, really cool.
Attila the Hun versus Predator.
Yeah, because they've done Predator in terms of comic books. Predator's met Batman a few times. I
Why
don't
do you want to
think
meet Batman? Why would you want to meet him?
the world's greatest detective versus the Predator.
God.
Predator came to Gotham and he came hunting. And that was one of the first graphic novels I ever bought, actually. And I know he's crossed over with a few other characters over time, even in Archie comics. Archie. So it'd be quite interesting to see where this goes. But I, for one, I enjoyed it. It wasn't a bad film. It was really, really enjoyable. It's not a family film. I definitely, one for the adults. And I'd say if the kids, let your daughter watch it. It's very empowering.
Wow.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I was down with it, and I'm quite, I think it could have been a slightly better film, but I couldn't tell you what I would make better about it. But it's definitely one of the better films I've seen this year. So I'm happy to give it a 7.5.
Oh, you just got an extra, haven't you?
Well, yeah, like I said, I think it was on the better side of the movies. I wasn't excited about it. It wasn't at any point I was watching the screen and went, yeah.
No, but I'm like, yeah, straight up 7. And then I could feel it in your head, 7.5.
So that's 7.5 for me.
Or it would make me be the bad guy.
You're not a bad guy. This isn't a personality contest.
But you look at the scores of all these films we've done this year. I'm always like two figures below you.
Hey, you're my hero, Dave.
I know that.
So yeah, hang in there. I'd say watch it. It's the way I'd like to see Disney Plus go in terms of sci-fi. Take a risk on something, tell a slightly different story, and people will be entertained. And considering Predator's never been that deep a story, it's quite nice that they've added a bit of depth via the characters they introduce. And I haven't seen depth like this maybe since the original Predator, which sort of had that sense of brotherhood and camaraderie and bond that they have in that film, even though they had to oil it up and put lots of muscle on it. Sorry. How about you, Dave?
What's that?
What's your final? You said you're 7. You're happy with the 7?
I'm happy with a 7. Yeah, it's a 7.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, whoop, whoop, that's another edition of the Boys from Bossk, hunting down the stories for. Sorry. We'll be back. We'll be back soon next week with some more. Please make sure if you have any feedback to file off to us. If you want us to review or watch something in particular, do let us know. We'll be back for some more next week. I hope you've enjoyed it. This was the Boys from Bossk. Say goodbye, Dave.
Bye, Dave.
Oh, Foxy in the house.